I ran an experiment over these last 2 months of cutting my protein intake down to half of what I usually consume. And there are some observations, some lessons that I want to share with you guys. Number one, even though for these 2 months, close to 10 weeks of eating 60 to 80 grams of protein as opposed to 120 plus grams of protein every single day, I didn't lose any performance capacity. I was still able to put out at close to 100% in my gym sessions, in my boxing, the soccer that I like to play with my neighbors here, or the kids of our foundation. I didn't feel like recovery was compromised, and certainly didn't feel like I could not perform at a high level just because I was eating less protein. I'm gonna tell you this, I did notice my body get smaller. I did notice my muscles looking flatter. I did notice the physique looking more sloppy. Even though in terms of calories, in terms of the overall amount of food that I consumed, nothing really changed. So a wake-up call right there. There's a reason why experts and the people in the game of fitness have always advocated for a high protein diet. Now, number three, and perhaps most interestingly and most importantly for me personally, is that when I then, after those 10 weeks were up, bumped up my protein intake again to around 120, 150 plus grams of protein for me personally, it was like a light switch was turned back on inside my head. And I remembered, I should say, I was yet again reminded that the neurotransmitters in our brains are comprised of amino acids, the building blocks of protein. So as I bumped up my protein intake, my thinking was sharper, my speaking was better, I was more lucid. I had better, more stable cognitive energy. I had better creativity, more mental oomph, if you will, when I increased my protein intake. And again, I didn't really change any other factors of my diet. So it wasn't just an overall bump in calories, it was just food selection. I talk about macros a lot on this channel because I know that macros will ultimately determine how you look when you take your clothes off, how you perform inside and outside the gym, and how you feel every day. How life goes for you is very much dependent on the food you choose to eat, very much dependent on your macros. But when I speak of macros, I'm not referring to a pie chart in your calorie counting app. No, I'm talking about food selection. And I'm telling you, brothers, forget everything I said about protein before. If you just choose the right foods, the foods that I've always promoted on this channel, it's very hard for you to not move closer to your physique goals, to your performance goals, to your life goals. So if the vast majority, the bulk of your calorie intake, the bulk of the foods that you have on your plate every day are meat, chicken, fish, eggs, lean dairy products like Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, my favorite protein sources personally, and you add some fruits and vegetables, you add a little bit of starchy carbohydrates to that, the likes of potatoes, bread, rice, whichever carb source you like, concentrated carb source you like, you're gonna be good. Your energy is gonna be good, your performance in the gym is gonna be good, your body composition is gonna be good, because if you choose those foods primarily, calories will clock in right around where they have to be without you having to do anything crazy, without you having to force a diet system, a macro system on your body that you don't really enjoy. Talking about the carnivore diet, keto diet, vegan dieting, plant-based dieting, you don't have to do none of that. You just choose primarily the foods that I just mentioned. You're gonna be golden. Your energy intake, if you eat like I do, is gonna go up and down depending on your day, depending on your output, and depending on what and how much your body is asking you to eat. So there's no need for you to shoot for 2,500 calories every single day. There's no need for you to shoot for 150 grams of protein every single day if you make those food choices. You guys know I'm a big proponent of fasting, intermittent and prolonged. However, you can do all the fasting in the world. You can eat one meal a day. You can eat one meal every other day, like I did back in January, and still look like a bag of trash if your food selection is off. Do you see how big this is? How big of a deal this is? It's not just about me losing a little bit of muscle mass and looking deflated after 2 months of a low protein intake. Is that my food selection was off. I erred more on the side of eating a bunch of starchy carbohydrates, less protein foods, less concentrated protein sources, and more fun foods. Now, again, even though the muscle that I lost, I regained within a couple weeks of just eating my normal diet again, it is yet again a reminder that the status quo is the status quo for a reason. And there's caveats to that. You know that the status quo in the fitness industry today is nothing that I follow, is nothing that my clients and team members follow. I don't eat 5 meals, 6 meals a day of chicken breast, rice, and broccoli. I don't run around the city with my Tupperware meals so I get my protein in every 2 to 3 hours. No. However, there are some fundamental rules that we still have to play by. Learn the fundamental rules and bend them to your will. Make them work for you, for your lifestyle, for your goals. For me, it's 1 to 2 meals a day. It's a high calorie, high protein diet, moderately high protein diet. It's very high in carbohydrates. And I have no calorie cap. I eat to satisfaction when I do sit down to eat. Now, there's certain rules that I follow personally to be sharper throughout the day, and that's I don't eat massive meals during the day, and I don't have big carbohydrate spikes during the day because those make me sleepy, those make me tired, those make me want to relax at 12 or 1 or 2 p.m. when I still have to be my sharpest and still have to put out for my clients, for the foundation, for God. So I still have to be sharp, I still have to be focused. So I keep calorie intake somewhat moderate during the day and always have my main meal at dinner time. With that being said, the diet setup that I follow is always a setup that I enjoy following. Is always one that gives me the results that I want, and it's actually something that I love to follow. You know, I love doing my prolonged fasting, my weekly 40-hour, 48-hour fast, sometimes more than just one weekly prolonged fast. And sometimes I go a couple weeks without throwing in these fasts, but make no mistake, I love this. I love this setup. It gives me the results that I always wanted, and it helps me live the life I always dreamed of. I'm telling you, the same is out there for you. You can combine the lifestyle that you want with the results you always wanted. It's out there for you. And whenever I speak of different dieting strategies, different nutritional tactics, understand that's all they are. They are not the solution. They are not the end-all be-all. They are simply tools in your toolbox. Pick the right tools to get the job done that you need to get done, physically, mentally, across the board in life. So low protein diets, probably not a good idea. With that being said, I think it's a very good idea to go through periods of low protein eating, to go through periods of a vegetarian, maybe even a vegan diet, short stints every now and then to help your body do what it's supposed to do. It's never a good idea. We talked about food selection. It's never a good idea to eat the same foods day in, day out for years on end. Yes, you should have a buffet of foods that you always fall back to, you always go back to, but it's always a great idea to break the rhythm with some prolonged fasting, with perhaps short periods just eating a vegetarian diet, perhaps a vegan diet every now and then. The body is built to thrive on extremes, but you can never stay there. Your body's very well equipped to handle those extremes if you dip in and out of them. Low protein diets, perhaps something worth looking into short term. For me, it was right around the 6-week mark where I noticed the benefits, if there were any benefits to the low protein diet, were gone. I had ran out of those benefits, and I started seeing the negative impact on my body composition and my cognition. So eat your protein, make the right food choices, fast, and don't stress about the details. Talk to you guys soon.